Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
It's always embarrassing when someone says this game came out when they were one, because I played this, I think, my third year of university. So I'm the old man at the company.
Yeah, well, I was still at school, but I think I was like 16, 17, something like that. I had it for the old Amiga.
Yeah, so this is a 1991 game, and it is came out in what I think is one of the golden ages of strategy game design. We had SimCity in '88, and you had Civilization in '89. You had the Populous games in '91. You had the Warlord. You really have a lot of innovation coming along in this era in the strategy game world.
Yeah, no, and this was see, we got this game, and then I played it all night, all night, and it was like 6, 7 in the morning. My mum came downstairs and went, "What?"
Yep.
It was one of these games that really grabbed me.
It may have been the first game that I played multiplayer. Back when you would just string the computer cables between the two computers, and we'd bring them to the dorm rooms and just link them up and do 1v1, because it's only a 1v1 game. So let's dig right in. You can explain what exactly Populous is to people.
Well, the story so far, I'm going to put computer assist on because I'm now too old for this game, is that you're a god. You're one of the many children of Zeus is the premise of the game. This was back when games had plots, which had very little to do with the gameplay. So you are a child of Zeus, and your goal is to become acknowledged by Zeus, and that's the premise of the game.
So sort of like Disney's Hercules?
Yeah, a bit like that. But the idea here is that you start off fighting various gods in battles. For hold on, stupid computer system, turn it bloody off again. Sorry. Yeah, so you're battling gods in various 1v1 battles, and if you and once you won all, well, apparently, because I've never actually ever finished this game, if you do that, then Zeus will acknowledge you, and that's apparently a proud day for you.
And this is a game that is map control. It's a real-time game. It's about dominating the map. Yeah. And it is, years and years ago, I wrote an essay about maps, and I noted this is one of the few games where the map is a weapon, where it's something you turn against your enemy.
Yeah, I mean, let's go find some enemy here. Right, let's go. Here's our enemy. So what I can do is just, almost drowned him. I'm trying to drown this poor person. And if you put enough effort in, there we go. I killed them with the map. I feel bad.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Okay. But yes, you can use the map to attack your enemy with it, and you can also, use it to help sculpt your own thing. You actually, in the basic game, I mean, there are other scenarios where you can't. Right. You can actually just raise and lower the map terrain.
Do you want to explain why you're raising and lowering the map? Here we have castles, we have houses. How do you accumulate power in Populous?
Well, obviously the premise of the game is to have worshippers. Right. And the more worshippers you have, the more mana you get. And then the mana can allow you to do effects like, let's create a pillar of fire here to burn these people down. Right, that was a very good pillar of fire, but there again, I don't get much luck with this game. Hold on, I need to get these guys down off the mountains. Right. Yeah, no, so the objective is to accumulate worshippers to give you mana to do effects with. And
really, every action requires mana. Even shaping the land,
yes,
you need to have mana reserves for.
Yeah, and then, so the more the bigger the set, and to have settlements, you need flat land.
Right.
And the more flat land you have, the more mana your people will be able to. The more your population grows, the more mana you accumulate, and the better your settlers actually are, because each kind of settlement level up to these nice castles has a kind of technology level, which is fairly abstract. But what it does, it basically sets how good they are if they have to go and fight one of the unbelievers.
Because eventually you will need to face the heretics in combat.
Yes, and there's many ways of facing them in combat, but you can... Stupid computer assist. I've got to give up on this. Tell this computer to stop helping me.
You know what you're doing. You don't need any robot to help you.
Yeah, I'm just...
Have you learned nothing from Synthetic Dawn?
Very little. Apart from robots, they are our friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're very good friends, the robots.
Yes, they're very special friends. Yes, no, but yeah, so they basically, yeah, I mean, the premise is the more flat land you have, the more settlements you have, and the more power you get, and thus the more flat land you can get. It's a kind of very positive feedback loop.
Right.
But this is okay because the game is fairly small. You know, it's a very tight set scenarios.
Right.
Where, you know, you fight a battle. Let's go burn them down again some more. Yeah, let's...
Now, at this point, you're relatively weak as far as the powers you can employ.
Yes. But he's weaker, so that's good.
Yes. Well, we're still at a very early map.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, basically, this is an interesting one in game progression, in that as you go on, you first start unlocking more new interesting powers, and then they start taking them away from you.
Right.
To add new challenges to the game. So that, you know, for example, in later maps, you'll be unable to lower land. You'll be unable to raise and lower at all. And all these kind of things. And it just adds new dimensions to the challenge. Yeah,
the maps have variable rules, which is kind of fun. It's like having house rules for all of these maps.
Yeah.
And each god that you face in combat has different powers, different priorities. There'll be nature gods, there'll be sea gods. And they will come at you with different tools that you might not be able to easily counter.
Yeah, well, that's also the other thing is you also get constrained by the powers you're given.
Right.
So right now we got a very limited subset. Let's just get this rolling. So the final power, of course, is Armageddon, where everyone turns into a legendary hero and then they fight it out for victory.
And they meet in the middle and...
Oh, there we go. Victory is mine. But yes, and I got lots more people trying to win this one, but we want to get this rolling forward as fast as we can. Because this is a very, very long game. I don't know how many hours I sunk into one of my campaigns.
Now you've won this map, and now Zeus will reward you with, hopefully, some power.
Well, he'll give me some. One lightning bolt.
One lightning bolt. Oh, good lord. That's not enough. Yeah. And these lightning bolts you then invest in something else.
In this, and making myself... I'm going to be a people's person. I think I'm a real people person.
Chris is a people person. He's one of the friendliest and most kindly people from the British Islands in Paradox.
Yes. So let's move on to the next one. Do we have new powers? Do we get some new powers? Yeah, there we go. We've now got this lightning bolt power.
Right. And now water is fatal, so if anybody touches it, they're automatically dead.
Yes. So let's roll forward again. We'll keep playing this a little bit. Yes.
So this is a game that the first one you played for a very long time, and of course you've always wanted to be a game developer. Do you want to talk a bit about how first this design and the designer have influenced your own approaches towards games?
Well, the one thing that fascinates me about this style of game, and there are other ones, other games are available,
of course,
is that your people wander around and pretty much do their own thing unless you intervene.
Right.
You know, that kind of indirect control of your population. They'll settle where they just go wandering. And although you can steer them, they're not always under your control.
Right.
And this creates a very it's a very interesting design. It's something you see in Majesty as another game with it. You know, and
well, let's take this at a little bit of a higher level for our audience out there. Why is that an interesting design choice for you? Because a lot of games today are about giving the player as much control as possible, as much influence as their story they're supposed to be telling. Why is indirect control, for you as a designer and developer who's been doing this for years, why is that an interesting choice, and when would you use that?
Well, see, for me, it's also partly an immersion thing. You know, if we take history, which is what we do with Paradox, you know, quite often you see history depends not on, you know, the general's choices, but the leader's choices, but his subordinates. You know, you take Napoleon at Waterloo, where Grouchy decided to go AWOL.
Right. You
know, instead of, you know, obeying his standing orders to march the sound of the guns. You know, and so there you see a battle turns, and an age ends not on a choice Napoleon makes in this case, but actually a subordinate.
Okay.
And so for me, it's partly a kind of part of the immersion of, you know, history, that history, you know, you are not God. You know, sometimes you're not the master of your own fate. You know, sometimes, you know, you just have to hope your subordinates can deliver for you. So for me, that's, it partly adds to the immersion.
Right.
And there's also, I'd say, also adds to it can add a different challenge.
Lightning bolts!
Yes,
lightning bolts!
Let's burn that down. Oh, let's burn them. Let's see if we get them. Oh, missed them. Oh, stupid lightning bolts. Oh. I'm not quite sure these divine powers are all they're cracked up to be. I keep missing. But anyway, that's
maybe you're not a great god.
I'm not a very good god, yes. I've got to work on it. Work on my godness. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something that's adds a different thing to the challenge of a game, where it's not just about what you can do, or what you can do, is also about your subordinates. And another thing I think is also when you're trying to do games of a grand scope, you can end up overloading a player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, part of the original idea of the theatre system in Hearts of Iron was that, say, as a player, you know, if you're, say, America trying to focus all in on your D-Day landings, then you know you're not managing the Pacific theatre, and so as you know, you end up overloading players, or you can end up overloading players, and thus being able to delegate can add an interesting thing to play to the game, you know, and actually make, for some people, the game just more playable or more fun. And that's what I feel is, you know, that was part of the things I was thinking of. You know, it's, you know, if I had to manually order around all these people,
right,
you know, the game would just become impossible to play, and it wouldn't be as much fun. So there's also an element of that. Right, I want to burn this bugger down here.
Ethnian Mandarin notes that this is a game where how quickly you progress through the game was directly tied to how well you played it.
Yes.
Like how many levels you could skip based on how well you did in the map.
Yes, I mean that was part of the whole advancement of the game, is that if you do really well, then you unlock a new map, you'll change a new deity, and then you'll get a new challenge, and it can actually be harder, or you know, it would make a game harder the better you were at it. So yes, I would say that's a fair observation of the game.
Are there many other games that have done that have said, okay, you're really good at this, so we'll jump you ahead to, like, you're going to pummel Epimetheus again. Epimetheus, for you non-mythology nerds, was Prometheus's idiot brother who married Pandora. So
I didn't even know that one.
You didn't even know that? Oh, you gotta know your history, man.
Well, I do. Not quite sure that counts
your
as
fake history.
Counts as legitimate history, you know.
So you're pummeling Epimetheus here, and every god has multiple maps, and if you keep pummeling him, you'll then get to the next deity, which will probably be one of Poseidon's silly kids,
Titan.
Probably. Yeah, another minor deity. If you're poor at it, you'll be playing Epimetheus for a while till you get better.
Well, the other thing here is obviously the better you do in the map, the more experience you get.
Right.
And the better you will be, you know, the better your character will become.
They become better faster.
Yes. So that, you know, as you level up that skill panel, the skills linked to that one become more powerful. So, you know, like for example, if you get the fire skills, then you see your column of fire here lasts longer.
Yeah.
And so the other thing about that is also the variable pacing also makes sure you have the tools to do the new deity when they come along. So that, you know, you'll need a certain amount of experience points in your deity before you can seriously take on some of the harder ones. So it's a kind of two-way street. Right. And I think it's a good system in that kind of way, that it scales the challenge, but also makes sure that you've got sufficient progression. And I find that's important. That, you know, it's in this style of game, it's important. With history, obviously, history progresses at its own rate, you know, and you can't necessarily control that for a player. But with this style of game, where you have a lot of control as a designer, you can do those kind of things. Let's get some more fire here. These guys are looking a bit cold.
Burn the heretics.
Yes, burn the heretics. Fire's too good for them. Yes, waste of good fire, but yes. So yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting thing from a design point of view, what they've, you know, that kind of two-way progression, where they check your skills, but also kind of give you enough chance to accumulate the experience. And I've just not been mastering the art of scoring the points here. Right. So I'm going to try burning them more, see if I get more points because of that.
If you behave like a god.
Yeah. Fire.
A vengeful Greek god.
Vengeful, wrathful god, I think I'll go for this week. This week I am mostly, yes.
Well, it says Populous to Trial of the Olympian Gods.
Yes, it's Dakota's full title.
But miraculously, they're not on trial for assault or murder, which is what I think Greek gods were probably best known for.
Yeah, well, Greek gods liked, you know, they were a bit different moral code.
Yeah, well, they did their thing.
Yeah, and they quite enjoyed it, and they were good at it. Yeah, so no, I mean, it's yeah, the progression thing is quite cool, and it's definitely I can't think of too many games that controlled the progression that tightly. Okay. You see with MMOs, for example, the regions are tightly tied to levels. Right. And And you see various, and then you end, once you out-level a region, you stop getting, your XP gains get much lower and these kind of things. Although it was Star Wars The Old Republic down-leveled you. So if a region was, say, up to level 40, then if you were above level 40, your character was automatically down-leveled to 40, which was an interesting way of keeping the challenge up on a region.
Okay.
But yeah, so you see that. I mean, MMOs do that kind of gating. Oh, bugger!
Oh, now you're getting whacked. Look at that.
That was rude. That's not fair. Sorry, bloody gods. This is also one long advert for atheism somehow. I think I don't know if that was Peter Molyneux's intent, but yeah. Yeah, no. So yeah, no, it was yeah. So I need to get more land. It's important.
Yeah, to reply to SE2, yeah, it's not that it's not that if you skip levels that it gets harder. It's that the game will, if you do really well, the game will move you ahead because you already mastered this god. You've beaten them, so they will skip you. If there are like 15 Epimetheus worlds, it'll skip you from the 3rd world to the 10th world or on to the next god because you've mastered it and you've beaten it.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for you to stick around playing that guy forever. Whereas if you're a poor player, they might progress you through that god a little bit more slowly until you've mastered the system.
Yeah, and there's also the power mix changes.
Yes.
So and the challenge mix. So it's usually my mental arithmetic suggests it's usually a series of about 5 maps with the same kind of setting and powers.
Yeah.
So if you do poorly, then you'll do 4 or 5 of this challenge.
Yeah.
If you do well, then you can skip it. You'll be pushed forward 5 maps to the new challenge, which will have different sets of powers and these kind of things.
Which is a reward because you're getting through the game faster and seeing new things faster, but it also does mean you're meeting new challenges more quickly, which you might not have developed the sense for. So it's a nice double progression, which keeps the game interesting and challenging all the way through. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a couple. Yeah, so it works on kind of the 2 levels, that kind of thing, of the nature of the challenge. Oh, wait a minute, I know what I'll do. I'll unleash a hero on these guys.
Ah, explain the heroes.
Oh, hold on, let me get my.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, each power has a hero tied to it,
right? And
each hero has a different kind of thing going for him. So I think is it Ulysses is the people one?
I think it's Perseus.
Perseus. Well, anyway, so he's quite clever.
Yeah.
So he actually will actually avoid. Things like if you put down, there's various effects which we don't have yet. For example, a swamp.
Right.
If you fall into, you get swallowed, but you'll try and walk around them. Then you have the
Adonis,
and he kind of fissions.
Yeah.
So he loses half his power, and you get 2 of them going around. Then,
every time Adonis wins a fight, he splits in 2.
Yes.
So he multiplies, so each Adonis is weaker than the ones before.
Yeah, and then we have Hercules.
Yep.
And he gets a boost in power when you create him, and the air one is, I think that's Achilles, and he goes very, very fast. The fire one, I can't remember his name, but he says fire to things as he goes by.
Odysseus is fire.
And then the water one is Helen of Troy, and she actually converts people to your side.
And leads
them no, she doesn't. She beguiles them.
She leads them to a watery death.
Yeah, well, she beguiles them and they follow her.
Right.
And what happens, one thing I should add with how these things work is that population that's out of a settlement for too long will steadily start to lose power, even heroes.
Yeah.
So if you have people out of a settlement for too long, then they will basically just die.
Did you create your hero?
Not yet, which is kind of handy because he just tried to burn them down. Yeah, but he's in this kind of thing, he's immortal, so that's kind of handy. But yes, so yeah, the idea here, so each one has a different kind of thing to it. And they can also ignore effects of their thing. So if you have Hercules, you can't use an earthquake to take him out. I wonder, is that enough power? I think it will be.
Let's see. Da-da-da!
Yes, that great sound effect, which you learn to fear as a player when you hear it from the AI.
Then he just comes and sacks everything, like all great Greek heroes.
Yeah,
they're pretty much butchers.
They love the good sacking. Everyone needs a hobby. Oh. Yeah, and then we just clean up after them.
And your people move in. Get rid of the unbelievers and replace them with believers.
Cleansing the unbeliever.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
strategy games were never very ethical.
No, well, no, so it was definitely a less PC age with your...
Yeah, because Europa Universalis is so PC. So this is a game that, I mean, I just love, what about the art of it?
Well, I mean, there are some games I find where the art just hasn't held up. Even at the time, I remember being blown away by the art. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the BioWare game, which at the first time I saw that game, going, whoa, this is amazing art. And then when I look at it now, I'm kind of going, it's okay. Whereas, curious enough, Baldur's Gate, which was older than Knights of the Old Republic by BioWare, I personally felt the art just held up so much better. Let's just end this with Armageddon. But yeah, so I mean, this game here, I think the art's, well, is a bit dated, and I still look for tooltips.
See, that is the thing. I go back, I mean, we get this from GOG.com, and every old game I buy there, I keep wanting to hover the mouse over stuff, because I forget how to do things, and it's like, oh, where's my tooltip? What do you mean I got to read a 200-page manual? I haven't had to do that in years. This is a Gary Grigsby game.
Yes. Yeah, no, so yeah, so tooltips, they're not there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, oh, there we go. Overall score.
Yep. Let's see, do you get any more lightning bolts?
Hopefully, I only got one last time.
Yep.
So I'm hoping for 2. I have high hopes. 2.
What a jerk!
Jesus Christ.
You've got to wipe him out faster, I guess.
I'm not very... Yeah, I need
to stop talking and just go for the nuclear option very quickly.
Okay, let's see if I got the same map, though. Let's check. Let's go to my Conquest game. Check it out.
Well, something we probably should have pointed out on the screen before that is every map has a
Oh, yeah, I've got a new...
Oh, you've got
I got swamps. This is good. We'll be doing some swamp action here.
And they're deep.
Yes.
It's not shallow swamps.
Yes.
They're deep swamps.
So we're now on to map 11. So this is why we transitioned over to new maps. So we got a new challenge. We're still taking on Epimetheus. Well,
Epimetheus, yeah.
Yes.
This was a game. This was before there were really saves.
Yeah.
Or auto saves
or even saves at all.
So each world has a password, and you had to write that down.
Yes, I had pages and pages of them.
And these passwords are really long.
Essentially, they were codes.
Gibberish. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you sit there and go into your character thing and just play around with the letter code, you can end up with some really powerful deities. Not that I ever did that. I was always an honest player. I want to make that perfectly clear. I just read it on the internet.
Yes.
Naturally.
We never cheated.
No.
So you had to write that down so you could go back to the world when you came back for the next time, if you weren't like Chris and didn't play it overnight for 10 hours.
Yes. Even then, I still never finished the game. There was a lot of gameplay in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was but I mean, that's so...
God, there were no save games, no tooltips. How do we get anything? How do we do anything back then? How do we even...
People were tougher back then.
Yeah.
It was... it's not like people got soft through things like tooltips and stuff like that. It's sad, really sad.
I mean, there were save games in other games, but not this one for some reason. I'm not sure why the developer...
It's the decline of Western civilization.
It's all Molyneux's fault?
Yeah. Yes, now we have save games and tooltips. Oh, shit. Oh, oops, I nearly...
Such language.
Yes. Blondie nearly had to reach for the bleep button there. Yes, another look of despair from Blondie. It's like the story of my life here on stream, but paradox. Yeah. So no, I mean it was quite. It was well, yeah, but there was no such thing as the tooltip, but yet to be invented.
Okay, the swamps.
Let's get.
See, he's not very good at making flat land, so your swamps are useless.
Yeah. Bugger, I'm burning him down then. Serves you right for not getting swamped. Yeah, no tooltips. I know it's one of those things I do with a lot of old games.
Yep.
Is hover the mouse over and wait for the tooltip. But the manual for this was quite short.
Yes.
The actual basic mechanics are fairly simple, and it's actually probably an interesting lesson for any budding game designer. It's amazing what you can do with some fairly basic mechanics, and then very clever variations along on it. Because essentially, each level takes the same formula, repackages it, and then presents you with a fresh challenge, which is one of the fun things about this game.
And the variables there are the maps vary from place to place. And time we saw there, and I pointed out, swamps are not shallow.
Yeah,
which is kind of sometimes the swamps are deep. Someone falls in and they're automatically dead.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're deep means they hold infinite people.
Yes.
Whereas a shallow swamp vanishes when someone falls in it.
Yes. Which is come on. Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Got some swamps going.
Which means that can hold infinite people until the opponent gets rid of it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Until you've raised and lowered the land around it,
right? And
that resets the swamp.
And that's just a very simple variable, but it does change how you play a map in quite serious ways.
Yeah, I mean, it just adds a different nature to a challenge of, a swamp can be a very good weapon to wiping out enemy kind of little people, and it kind of is.
But it's more useful against a populace with a lot than a population with just a little.
Yes. Oh, nope. Come on. Ah. There we go.
There we go. Ah, electrocution.
Yes.
Woohoo!
For quality graphical effects.
Yes. Well.
And he's now turned to. He's dead.
The animator learned everything he knew from Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah, well, it was a great thing. It was a beautiful thing, Warner Brothers cartoons. No, that's all. That's all in that one, folks. But yes. So yeah, no, I mean, we're sitting here growing our map. I don't know if you heard that little bubble sound. That meant I got someone in my swamp. Let's see. Oh, we got more space. We can get more swamps down. Ah. This is a bit... I just want to see... There we go. Someone falls into my swamp, and that's them. And I'll now hear that reassuring sound until the enemy gets rid of him. Now, one of the downsides of this is the sound is the same regardless if it's your swamp or their swamp.
Right.
So I can place a swamp down in enemy territory, hear that nice bubbling sound, and then when I go back and inspect, I discover that sadly, in fact, it's my territory, and has a swamp in it as well, and the enemy has been killing my people too. So it's one of these things you gotta watch for, or it's another part of the challenge. Yeah, there we go. Some nice reassuring there. But yeah, so here we go. Our enemy is... yeah, we've got some good swamps going here.
You can tell this is a lower level enemy because they're not doing much to get rid of the terrain problems.
No, I mean, the AI is... Well, it's not.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not...
But we're sure...
No, it's not machine learning or anything like that.
Right.
But within the simple parameters of the game, it can put up quite interesting fights. And it can beat you as well, and it has beat...
Yeah. Especially when you get to even like the second or third go. It doesn't take that long to get to a point where the AI is throwing interesting things at you.
Yeah.
When you're playing as much defense as you are offense.
Yes. I mean, these early ones you learn how to attack again as part of the game progression.
Right.
And then the AI really starts to come after you as well, and then you've got to learn how to defend and attack at the same time. Okay, there we go. I mean,
and your swamps can kill your own people, so you don't want to send your soldiers over there quite yet.
No. It's one of those nasty little things about the game is if you do something like... If I can, of course, kill my own people with my effects. You know, the effects are identical regardless of whose territory you do them on. And so, I mean, when we come to some of the later effects, like the earthquake, which just creates an earthquake, which kind of creates a chasm, and the direction is semi-random, so especially if you go close to your own border, they will. There is a chance that he's killed my leader. How rude! Let's get my leader back up. My holy leader.
My favorite accidental problem is the whirlwind, which can create whirlpools in the water that then eat away the land.
Yeah, I mean, whirlwinds I tended to stay away from for precisely that kind of uncontrollable nature. Oh, oops. You know, that the effects are uncontrollable. And but adds a dimension to strategy. And it's also a very cool way that that sometimes, you know, it can be kind of a double backfire where you...
A double backfire?
Yeah, you actually do an effect on yourself that goes wrong. You know, say you do the whirlwind, and the whirlwind accidentally tracks into your own territory and starts taking your own people. But then it goes out into the sea, creates whirlpools, and then start eating into the enemy land as well. So you can kind of get that thing where it backfires on you and then kind of backfires again on the enemy. But also these kind of things also kind of...
Is that a double backfire or a reverse backfire?
I don't know. I don't think that's actually a proper English language term. I think I've actually just made that one up.
Excellent.
Someone mentioned in chat, God's not good at aiming. Tell me about it. It's very unreliable. I mean, to be fair, I've created a one-eyed God, so I've got no depth perception.
Never worship a Cyclops, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And you never quite know where the effects end up. Let's burn this area down. It'll be a laugh. Actually, there we go. Let's go to war.
Let's see if we can get rid of this afterthought deity. Yeah, Armageddon is the power where you say, I'm strong enough, let's end this map.
Yeah.
It is...
there we go, I burned him down.
You're calling out your opponent, more or less, saying, let's just finish this, and we're done.
Yeah, they all go to the centre of the map and just fight it out. And the AI can do this as well. That happened. I got a very rude surprise one time when the AI decided to Armageddon me. That was
Generally, the largest population will win, though strength of your leader also matters.
Yeah, there's also things like if you got plagues and things like that, those people don't count. It's one of these kind of effects. You could... Oh, 23,000.
Is that a good score?
We'll find out. I only got one last time on 21,000.
You're not doing great. Yeah,
I think this game is broken. Actually, I think this is someone's hacked this or something before I got it.
Yeah, the castles, the big fortresses. The castles need to have 4 tiles, 4 clear tiles.
Oh no, wait, I've gone to the wrong screen. I wasn't paying attention.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, they need the maximum amount of space.
But that's 4 clear tiles, I think, or 8.
8, I think. It's 4x4.
It's 4x4.
Yes. Right, let's see. What map am I on now? I was on 11 last time. How good was my performance? And I got map 15, and I have the earthquake.
Oh, excellent.
So now we got to the fun bits where we can create beautiful effects, which will change the world forever.
Rocks sometimes start popping up, and you want to sink those.
Yeah, they count. They even if you got the land cleared, a rock still counts as
a blocked area.
Yes, so you can't get the maximum size settlements, which means you cannot get the maximum amount of mana and population growth. And you want the mana and the population growth so you can unleash earthquakes. This is why we play this game. And it's
there's a later earth power that generates basalt rocks and pushes them up through enemy settlements, and it's quite handy.
Yes, it can completely ruin their day until you come and retake the land off them.
Yes.
And then you've ruined it for everyone.
Well,
sort of a metaphor for my life.
Yeah,
really.
I was going to say.
Yes.
We tend to ruin things for each other.
Well, just ruin it for everybody, really.
Yeah,
you know,
well.
I'm usually to blame for things. Well, I'm not sure what these things are, but I'm usually to blame for them.
I'll tell HR that in my next evaluation report.
Yes.
It's all Chris's fault.
Yes. Well, don't tell HR. They don't really know what I do, which means I don't really have to do much.
I don't think any of us know what you do.
I turn up and stream from time to time, Blondie. You know, that's just to fly the flag. You know, keeps me out, keeps away the questions. You know. Yeah. So don't mention me to HR. I kind of like flying under the radar. Yeah. So
it's up that hold over your head then to blackmail you with that.
Blackmail. That's terrible, Troy. I thought you were a nice Canadian.
I am a nice Canadian. That's kind of the problem. I'm just too damn nice.
Let's see. All right, I need to get more land to get the earthquake, because this is another cool thing about this game, of course, is that, you know, we've talked about land as a weapon, but then there's the magical effects that change the world, not just the kind of generic raising, lowering, and can change the world in quite interesting ways, which kind of, you know, just adds to the experience of, you know, I'm this powerful god, I do powerful things, and what does that mean? And then you see, oh, I did that, and I mean, it doesn't last very long because obviously it's pixelated art.
Right.
You know, it's not quite the genuine shooting lightning bolts or anything like that, but still, it works for me. Oh, yeah, oh, here we go. I can do a minor earthquake. I'm going to put the computer assist on here because I want to go and focus on where the real fun's at, which is dropping an earthquake. Now I've got to.
And you can set the directional arrow shows where the rift goes.
Yeah. And there we go. Got my little... And there are people falling. And you hear them going, oh. And so...
It's not a very pleasant death.
But it's rather amusing. Oh, there it is. Oh, this will... Actually, what I'll do... I'll have another go at trying to destroy this area. Oh, oops.
And you see there, the earthquake actually lowered some of the land.
I pointed in the wrong direction. Oh dear. Sad. I never got a...
There is no wrong direction that kills unbelievers.
Yeah, mind you, I could have killed more. You know, it's like that scene in Blackadder the Second, where he's going, cold! That's God's way of telling you to burn more Catholics. Let's have another go. It's my... Oh.
This map you should probably finish pretty early, pretty easily. There's like none of them.
There. I'm kind of giving each enemy settlement a personal earthquake service.
Oh no.
I can be quite vicious that way.
What do we love most about this game, we've just been asked.
Oh.
By Spambuka87. What do we love most about this game? I mean, for me, I've already... he came in late, but for me, it's the fact that the map is a weapon, that it's strategically using land formation and powers to distort the playing space. That's my favorite thing about it. What's your favorite thing about it?
Well, I love your little people. They wander around, they go in their own directions. Unless you really... You've got very limited means of controlling them.
You give instructions more than anything else.
Well, I mean,
and even they are just loosely, like, you can't tell them. You can give them ideas of what to do, but you can't tell them where to go. Really.
Well, you can. The only really direct way of controlling them is telling them to go to the magnet.
Yes, the papal magnet
yes.
is called in the game.
Yes, and then they will. That's the only time they will precisely obey you.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell them to go and settle, which I've done right now. I can tell them to fight.
Right.
I can tell them to gather together. But in general, they will just do their own thing.
Right.
You know.
But even if you tell them to go to the papal magnet, you can't tell them which route to take.
No.
And even if that means walking through swamps, walking through whatever, they'll do it.
Yeah, they're very devoted worshippers.
Yes.
They will go exactly where I tell them to. In that case, but
they will follow your commandments very precisely.
They'll do what I asked, not what I need.
Yes. So you can just wipe out the enemy just through powers and not even call Armageddon.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do here. There we go. All dead. An even worse score.
Yeah.
Damn. Sad.
But you'll still get your one lightning bolt.
One.
Wow. He's a stingy little father.
Yes, let's see.
So why do you invest? You're always investing in people power. Why are you always investing in people power?
And people power...
Because your deity customization is a big part of this game.
I'm just investing in people power initially because if I was playing this in a long campaign, which obviously in an hour we wouldn't get through, people power it controls the price to raise and lower land.
Okay.
And that's one of your most basic starting things you have to do, is you have to get flat land to get more power. So once you get the price of that down, you can then start building up quicker. So it's that early build-up phase. It's like like in any game. Sorry, you know, it's reaching that critical mass.
Sure.
Once you reach critical mass, you're in a much better place. But until then, you know, you want to get that going as quick as you can. And this here, people power, makes this raise lower land, this early kind of rush part, a lot quicker. And that's important in any kind of strategy game. Oh,
Spambuka has asked about Black and White. Do we want to talk about the designer of this game?
Oh, Peter Molyneux.
This is, I mean, when people, right now, Peter Molyneux's kind of a sort of figure of fun in the industry, but he designed this, and it's kind of, it's a triumph. It is a masterpiece.
Oh yeah, I mean, Black and White never captured my imagination, right? I don't know. I wanted kind of more populous,
right?
And I never quite got that. So for me, this is Peter Molyneux's last great game, right? You know, this is peak Molyneux. But you know, obviously, you know, you go around and ask people have different opinions, and they'll have. Some people think Black and White was a triumph. Some people think, you know, You know, it was the greatest game ever, or the greatest Molyneux game, because the greatest game ever, you could be here all day arguing over that one.
Blondie loved Black and White.
Yeah, Blondie was saying that was his absolute favourite.
I mean, I was quite young when that came out, but like I've played that so many times, and hardly ever in multiplayer because it was early 2000s. Didn't have anything but dial-up.
Absolutely.
Multiplayer hadn't been invented back then. But yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, this is a preference thing. But yeah, you know, this was a golden age of strategy games, as we mentioned already. And Peter Molyneux was one of the avant-garde strategy game designers in that era.
Yeah.
And he created a game like Populous. So hold on, this person's going to die if I don't give him a nice little house. And so yeah, you know, it's I think this would be, in my personal feeling, this is Peter Molyneux's finest game. I hope, in the unlikely event that Peter Molyneux watches the stream. Sorry, man, it's just how I feel. Okay, you know, if you just in case,
no,
you know.
I agree. I mean, I think it is one of the best strategy game designs ever created.
Yeah.
I think it's right up there with Civilization. And we've seen other Populous games since Molyneux left. None of them have really, I think, captured what the game was trying to do.
Yeah.
Since
Well,
Populous 2.
I mean,
really.
you had Powermonger. Didn't Powermonger come after Populous 2?
Populous came out after Powermonger came out after Populous. Someone actually mentioned in my Twitter feed today, said, oh, this reminds me of Powermonger. And Powermonger is a game that I think came out too close to exams for me to be too involved in. Did you play much Powermonger?
I played around with it a bit, and I found it was, you know, it kind of got involved in kind of generals. You had to create tools and all these kind of things. It was a far more micro detail game.
It was kind of a Civilization Populous type thing, because there was a lot of tech advancement and
yeah, you know, and I personally felt that you got bogged down in the gameplay.
okay.
Right, you know, that was my own feeling. This was kind of fun, going around shooting lightning, creating earthquakes, bombarding people with fire. That's my kind of thing.
As you said earlier, it's a very simple design with very
Yeah.
simple rules and clear parameters of what you can and can't do.
Yes.
And they introduced you to it gradually through the process of playing.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was, I mean, Civ did that pretty well as well.
Yeah.
You know, with them, you start off with a very few limited choices in Civilization. You know, you can basically build a city. You have maybe 1-2 unit types if you're
Right.
lucky, maybe 1 or 2 buildings, and then as you progress through the game, you unlock fresh technologies. You can suddenly research new things and do better and more. You know, do more with your thing. But you essentially were spoon-fed.
Right. That's the core principle of 4X design, right? You start small, and then as you get bigger, you have more complex decisions to make.
Yeah, it's also, I think, another genre that did very well was RTSs.
Right.
The RTS campaign. You know,
Yes.
you would start off with a limited subset of buildings, which would in turn meant a limited number of units. You're
Right.
basically challenged to learn the capabilities of these buildings and units.
Yep.
And then moving on to the next level. There's something obviously Paradox does very badly, in that we give you a whole country and tell you to get on with it. Here, you know.
It's one of our constant missions.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously trying to find all sorts of ways of doing that, but, you know, ultimately, when you're taking a point in time in history, real history, you cannot just say that, you know, imagine, you know, that nobody knows about. Well, I suppose in CK, no one knew about the chicken. You know, you had to invent the chicken. And the original, you know, it's one of those great groundbreaking inventions.
Yes.
I think they changed it to poultry husbandry eventually in a patch, but
Yeah.
the original CK had the invention of the chicken. But yes,
Yeah, well,
that was more. But yeah, you know,
I forgot all about that, but you're right.
yes, that was a sheer brilliant kind of. That was one of the best techs I think we ever had. The chicken, but that's an aside.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Yeah, Blondie notes that's why he gravitates more towards Stellaris, and I think that's one of the things we did with Stellaris, try to make a traditional 4X game, because it hopefully leads into more grand strategy type play, gets people introduced to our systems. I know that we've also did a lot of work on the UI there, and I know some of the stuff that you're working on is really trying to find ways to marry the things we've learned from Stellaris with the grand strategy genre, stuff we can't talk about.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing here is if you take Civilization as an example, if they went for a more harder core history experience, it would be a very different game. I mean, I saw
Absolutely.
I saw Sid discussing this, where he said, you know, in early incarnations of civilization, you know, the Mongol horde would come down and trash your empire.
Right.
And they basically suddenly realized that this turned out to be not a lot of fun for a lot of people they play tested the game with, where they did want Genghis Khan to come and burn them down. They wanted to go and burn Genghis Khan, you know.
We talked to Soren Johnson about Civ 4. Originally, religions could only spread along trade routes.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened historically. But that's too little player control.
Yeah.
Eventually, they have that in Civ 5 when they introduced religion there, where trade was very important. But for Civ 4, it did not work. So there's all kinds of interesting options you choose, and you know how hardcore you want to make things.
Yeah, well, it's you know, it's history as a canvas. I mean, it's one of the nice things about making a historical game is that you know, why is the world the way it is?
Yeah.
And the answer is go read a book.
Yes.
Yes, you know, I don't have to explain anything more than this is just the way it was. There's nothing we can do about that. You know, people then have long arguments over how we chose to interpret history going forward, but the actual starting points, you know, we're pretty certain about them. With other games, you know, you have to make a kind of backstory and kind of explain it. So, you know, in this game here, you are the son of Zeus battling to get acknowledgement from Zeus.
Right. Because in the original Populous 1, it was just good versus evil. There was no difference between them. They just had to call them different sides. Except you were good. Except you were good, yes.
Yes. I think, yes, you know, and that was... but yeah, you know, so I mean, yes. I mean, it's not always that difficult to kind of create a backstory and a kind of experience. And
no.
In fact, I don't think Stellaris really bothers that much to explain why.
You're in space, and that's all you need.
And why, conveniently, everyone just appears with space travel at the same time. I mean, it's very good of them, but, you know.
Well, not the Fallen Empires.
Yes,
they were there for a while.
But yeah, you know, the actual ones you play.
Yes.
So I'm just going to get the AI to help me out, because I'm a bit lazy here.
There are a lot of them. Lots of tiny little houses.
Yeah, let's burn some more down. Let's earthquake some more. Everyone needs a hobby. But yes. Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those kind of things of these kind of settings is that when you choose a setting, you create a constraints.
Yeah.
So you know, on this one here, you know the constraints are your god powers. You know, the kind of and the map, and you know that your god powers really have to influence the map per se, rather than anything else. So, but that it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just let's go for a more direct attack here. We're going to get people.
Going to force them to immigrate into their territory?
Yes, we're going to do a bit of migration here.
Like the Mongols?
Well, not quite.
See, these are more enemy citizens than you usually are facing.
Yeah, this is because, again, we've leveled up, so the...
AI gets a little bit better at creating more population. You see a little more flat land. Mm-hmm. It's not just huts on hillsides, which we have been fighting.
There are probably also things like the cost the AI pays to do stuff like removing up and raising lower land.
Well, that's an interesting question. Let's talk about balancing AI, because the AI develops here through all kinds of different ways, and the cost of actions, the types of actions available. How would you evaluate how this game balances the challenge, and what can other designers draw from this sort of design?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things I've noticed with how the AI balances. One is, and if we go back and actually read the description of your opponent, is the AI speed, essentially how quickly it reacts to things. Right. And you see that in these kind of, that the AI will, but sometimes be a lot quicker at kind of reacting to things like if I burn down its terrain and these kind of things. So you have AI reaction speed as one variable it uses. Another one, of course, is AI power costs. So if you make AI actions cheaper, it can automatically do more of them. And then the AI, even inside the same AI
so that
logic.
Would be like for an EU, for example, giving the AI more money, giving them more monarch points.
Yes. So, well, it's the income and all these kind of things. If you look at the EU levels,
easy versus hard, yeah.
Yeah, you see things like the cost to do actions, or the income, maintenance, manpower regen, all these kind of things. Or an easy level, the players want to get can support more stuff. So yes, that's and so you can essentially have the same AI perform far better challenges by how you buff it. But this kind of game, from immersion standpoint, does a very cool trick in saying, well, it's a different god. Right. This god is a lot better. You know, it's a lot faster. He's a lot more powerful, and so you see the differences there and how the AI. Did I hear something going on there? You know, so you see the so that so this is how they explain the AI difficulty.
The in-game fiction works.
Yes, it's part of the in-game narrative.
Yeah.
And you see this in. Oops, I'm getting sidetracked here. Yeah, you see this in the game a lot. You know that creating the right narrative allows you to essentially, you could say, from a crude standpoint, it's a cheating AI. The AI just cheats more.
Stratk notes that his first strategy game was North and South on the Amiga, which is a game that I also played. He said, if you can call that strategy. And yeah, you can, though it had a lot of mini games, which was kind of a big trend at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of hybrid. You could say, it's a kind of hybrid. It had a very basic tactical combat layer, you could almost say, which was
right.
But the idea was you built armies, moved them around, so you had this kind of two parts to the game. But yeah, North and South, that was also the one with the comedy kind of front screen where
the mostly cartoon-like characters, because the Civil War was just a blast.
Yeah, Civil War was a real laugh, fun for all the family. Oh, my leader's dead. Oh, oops.
But I mean, that was...
He fell into my own earthquake.
See, if I had control of this channel, I'd just do a whole month on mini games in 80s and 90s strategy games and why they were a bad idea. And I'd start with Defending the Crown, which is a game I really hate. But anyway.
Well, one game I really enjoyed on the Amiga, which was kind of strategy-esque, was Castles.
Yeah.
Where you built your castle and then you almost had the mini game where they came and the Welsh.
Right.
Selfish people.
Yes, Castles.
I'm prepared for zombie attacks as well. I'd like to add in Welsh.
It's like we played all the same games, Chris.
Regular, I just thought, yes, regular targets of the stream, right?
Yes.
Would come and burn down your castle, which was a bit rude of them. Wait a minute.
Any chance we'll be playing Syndicate someday? I don't make these decisions, but I think it would be an interesting choice if we could find it.
I considered Syndicate. When I was offered choices of games,
right?
Syndicate was another one. But I realised that I would probably be really bad at it now because I'm not some spotty teenager with the attention span of a mayfly with something else in his mind and could click like a madman. So yes, I did. Syndicate was considered and rejected for ultimately to avoid embarrassing myself. Even though I've kind of semi-embarrassed myself with this game, having picked it, but that's a.
We're getting lots of great suggestions here in the feed of games to play. Is there a place where people can submit suggestions for this, I wonder?
We don't have that yet. I think it's down to whoever's...
I mean, people generally have, but I mean, we want to have the designers choose the games they want to play.
Yeah.
But it's good to, Master of Magic and Settlers, too. I mean, there are some really...
The Settlers one was so much better.
Settlers 1, was it?
The original Settlers.
You think it was better than Settlers 2, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I might disagree, but it's been so long.
Yeah, so it's maybe I'm Close Combat series. I know there's fans in the office of that series.
Close Combat. I play a lot of Close Combat still on Steam.
Yes. Do we have any other one? Oh, Stunt Racer car for the Amiga. Oh. I'm not sure.
Stunt Car Racer. Is that even a strategy game?
I'm not sure it's a strategy game, but since
people like stunt cars.
I don't believe it was actually compulsory. You had to pick a strategy game. You just had to pick a classic game that you really enjoyed.
Yeah.
One of those games that stuck with you. Syndicate. I used to love going around with the Persuader-tron, getting everyone on board, and then getting the guy out with the flamethrower and burning the entire town down. See, Syndicate kind of sadly exposed my darkest instincts. Maybe it's a good thing it's kept. I'm not streaming that one.
So that exposed your darkest instincts. So here you're just nuking people with earthquakes, which is
but it's the unbeliever, so it's allowed.
All right.
In Syndicate, I would go after the innocents. It's like they all had it coming. Yes. So I'm going to try a different thing here to see if I can get actually.
What are you going to try?
I'm going to try and wipe them out with my papal magnet.
You're just going to do it like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to see if I can score some more points, because I've been very embarrassing
See,
here.
I don't know how the scoring system works.
No, it's one of those kind of, this is a good old days of gameplay where, you know, you didn't have tooltips, you had a manual about this much, and you didn't actually have to explain how things work. You just had to tell people it works.
So it's whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
You have fun, the points don't count?
Yeah. Well, you know, there is a scoring system. Things do affect it. What exactly they are.
Even the manual wasn't good at that.
Yes. You know, it's part of the magic. Do things, you'll score points. If you're lucky, we'll give you some lightning bolts. Oh my god, Populous. It's Populous too, my friend.
This is a good comment. Last time I've been here, Paradox featured Victoria 3. Now it's Rome 2. It's good to be alive.
Yes, it's best time to be alive.
I love that.
Yes, this is kind of Greece 1 rather than Rome 2. More Hellenic feel to the stream. Ah, come on. But yes, yeah, it's not quite Rome 2. Maybe Greece. Maybe we should do an ancient Greek game.
Greece is the word.
Yeah, John Travolta's finest film. All right, so we've almost got them.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to wipe out your opponent.
Yes, that was them. Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity annihilator.
Just want to show how it's all done.
Yes. Well, it's also I want to try and not get at least one round where I don't get a particularly embarrassing score. You know?
Yeah.
Having picked this game to show off, I'd like to at least pretend I'm good at it.
You should have checked game FAQs beforehand and see if that had a score breakdown.
Well, no, I bought this one. Oh, there we go. 33,000 points. What do you think of that? Proud
I don't know.
score.
Let's see what that's worth. What does Zeus think that's worth?
Oh, he's tough. There we go.
2 points. All right. Well done.
New record.
We got it. Two lightning bolts.
And that's, I think, the perfect time to round off
All
with
right.
a win.
Yes.
Go
me.
We'll take the win. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm glad I'm here for this because I love all these old games and talk about them as much as I can.
Fled communist Canada for a life of peace and religious fulfillment in Sweden for reasons.
Yeah. I fled socialist Canada for even more socialist Sweden.
Yeah, so there we go. That's strange choices, strange life choices. We don't know what we did. Yeah.
So these streams are always fun, and I always watch them. I think it's funny that the first one was a Frog City game. This is Bullfrog, so we need another studio with an amphibian in it.
Yes, and also I think we've got the Victoria series on sale.
We do. Victoria series, I mean, people love Victoria series for some reason.
Well, also I picked it because Victoria Revolutions was my very first paid game credit.
Really?
Yes. I'd worked on some Paradox titles as a beta tester, but the first one I actually worked on when I actually got hired by Paradox was Victoria Revolutions. So from that, it's always been like close to my heart, the series.
It's close to a lot of people's hearts. I know that people want to try it out. If you want to see what all the fuss is about, check out Victoria 2. It's on sale.
I don't know what's on sale, but something's on sale.
We have Victoria Complete for 75% off.
Ooh.
We have Victoria 2 for 75% off. And then we have A House Divided and Heart of Darkness for Victoria 2 at 50% off.
There we go. Bargain basements everywhere.
Those are really
people.
good prices for games that I still don't understand.
Yes, well, neither do I, and I worked on them. So, right. Yeah, so I picked them for my classic sale. And do we know who's picking? Do we know who's on next week?
I have no idea.
We don't know who's on next week.
I learned it was you yesterday.
Oh, I think so. We don't know when this will be back, who will be on, but
well,
when
we know it will be back next week, same time, same channel.
All right, but we don't know who, we don't know what,
no
we don't
clue.
know when.
But this is one of my. I'm really glad you guys have started this stream. It's one of my favorites, and I'm going to keep watching.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you Monday actually for more CK2.
You will never see me again.
Yeah.
Well,
but I think we might, but definitely not soon.
Have a great weekend, everyone.